Shalom. I want to start off making all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Wachach, Chodesh. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders, the great millstone, and salutations to you, Akim, that's out there listening, pushing forward this word with truth and sincerity, and if you Akwat as well, let's listen with sincerity. I'm the brother Machaya from the camp GMS Montreal, coming back with another lesson. And in this one, it's going to be about self-examination. Okay, because that's the current thing that we constantly got to do within this truth, man. Especially with the Lord giving us examples of certain men of being hypocrites, okay, of them, not taking accountability for their actions, right? You know, a notable example right now that's going on in Israel is Alizé, guerrilla Hebrew. You know, a lot of brothers are making lessons about that, and then really this was inspired by the lesson that Elder Yashua did, about self-examination, current things that's going on in Israel. That was the title, roughly paraphrase. Which go and watch that. And earlier today too, I was watching the brothers in Los Angeles. They had to sit down yesterday, and they were going into it. They were going into it as well. About self-examination, man. Which again, it's highly important in the truth, man. Okay. We constantly got to look in the mirror and see, um, and see ways that we can improve in this truth, and see, where certain flaws are, and fix it. Okay, before the Lord comes and fix it for you. And when the Lord does come and fix it for you, it's not gonna be pretty, man. You know. Sometimes you don't want the Lord to come and fix it for you, because when He does, hey, he might make it publicly. Before the whole congregation. Once again, specimen number one, Elizé. Okay, but let's get this in the book of Corinthians. I want to say First Corinthians 15. Or was it 16? Hold on. No, 2 Corinthians. Bear with me for a minute. 2 Corinthians 13. 2 Corinthians 13 and verse 5. It says, examine yourselves whether you be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves, how that Yahushua Mashiach is in you, except you be reprobates. Okay, we have to examine ourselves, man. Okay, we have to prove our own selves. Okay? Once again, it's a constant state of self-examination, man. Every day you should be analyzing and examining yourself and seeing, ways I can improve. When you get back home, did I conduct myself wisely in the midst of these people? Was I representing Yahushua good? Things of that nature. Or, you might have a conversation with the brother, did I offend the brother by saying this? Or was it, you know, these type of questions pop up in your mind, man. Because, what we're striving for is perfection, right? We're striving to be like Yahushua, you know? And we have to examine ourselves. Hey, it's just like in school, man. I remember in school when we would do certain exercises where, I don't know, the teacher gives you a homework to do at home, you know? And then you come back to school, and then, she would make you, or he would make you, correct certain things before, she takes it and, grades it or whatnot, you know? That would happen at certain times. They would give you a certain grace period. You're like, okay, I know probably some of you guys don't have enough time to finish the homework, so I'm giving you time now to correct certain things before I take it and correct it, right? And you'd be like, oh man, the water, shit, I actually didn't have time, and you try to fix it up, you see, and it should allow you to, even consult with, certain of your friends to see, and boom, bam. Yeah, that would happen sometimes at school. I remember that. So it's kind of like the same thing here, during this grace period, you know, where the Lord is crafting us to be kings and princes. He gives you time to where you examine yourself, okay, to see where you can improve, what your flaws are, things of that nature. Let's read that word examine in the blue letter real quick. This is the word examine in the Greek. It says pieradzo, okay? It says to try to try whether a thing can be done, to attempt, endeavor to try, make a trial of tests for the purpose of asserting his quality or what he thinks or how will he behave himself. Okay, yeah. It's a trial, it's a test. You know what I mean? Scriptures speak about, let's get that in the Sirach, because I mean, when I read the definition, it makes me think of that precept where it says, try things good for your soul. If it's not good, do not give it to it. Let me see. Ah, give not that. Sirach, where it speaks about, man, how does a word don't go? I usually get that a lot here. It basically goes into, you trying different things for your soul, and then if it's not good for it, don't give that unto it. Roughly paraphrasing. Oh, willing, get that precept. It ties in beautifully with the lesson. Mm, there we go. Yes, the water, Yabashim Yoshai. So this is the book of Sirach 37 and verse 27. It says, my son, prove thy soul and thy life, and see what is evil for it, and give not that unto it. That's part of what examining, trying things out, testing things out. Like we read in the definition of examine, right? To try, to make trial of tests for the purpose of asserting his quality or what he thinks or how will he behave himself. So, you try certain things to see, yo, is this good for me? If I have too much of this, is it gonna make me fall? Like let's say alcohol. You gotta know the level of alcohol that you can intake. You know, because not everybody has the same, you know, drinking tolerance. You might be a lightweight. Hey, that's what it is if you're a lightweight. Don't let another person judge, oh, you're a lightweight, man, and you just trying to prove yourself. Oh, now I ain't no lightweight. And you drinking, now you blacked out, and puking and shit. Nah, man, you don't want to do that. That's not a good image. You know what I'm saying? That's just one example, right? Or it might be you're a woman, you want to be like, oh, I could handle, all this, 5 women at once, da 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 da. He was just trying to do it, and hey, now all of a sudden you're not making lessons. Now all of a sudden you're not showing up to camp because what? Those women ensnared you, you know. So hey, we gotta know what our vices are. We gotta know what could hinder us from, continuing the path. Okay. Uh, let's finish that precept on Sirach. It says, verse 28, for all things are not profitable for all men, neither hath every soul pleasure in everything. That's true. You know, all things are not profitable for all men. We all have different things that we like, that we don't like, and another brother might hate the things that you like, and you hate the things that he likes. It doesn't mean that you guys are not brothers. It's just how that, hey, we know in this truth there's gonna be, different spirits that like different things. And regardless of that, there's still gonna be a unison between you guys. You guys might not be, the bestest of friends or whatever, you know. But regardless, it's a brother, you know. But hey, you gotta know what's good for you, man. Especially now, man. Come on, man. You know, you gotta know, man. You gotta know these things. You gotta know these things about yourself. I know in the world we didn't really know ourselves like that. Truly, hey, I speak for myself, and I'm pretty sure brothers feel the same way. Brothers just feel the same way. Before coming into this, you didn't truly know yourself like that. You know, it's only now that the Lord's showing you certain things about yourself, your character, what type of man that you are or woman. You know, and then now you're seeing, oh damn, that's who I am. Okay, let me hone in on that. And perfect that and become the best version of myself, to where that Yahushua could see Himself in me. You know, hey, that's one thing I'm like, I was like, wow. When I started learning certain things about myself, I'm like, yo, that's who I am. That's what my gift is. That's what I don't like. Da 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 da. And you're like, oh shit, yo. You see yourself becoming a better version of yourself each and every day that goes by, man. That will once again part of that what self-examination. You see, your light gotta shine. Let's get that in Proverbs. It says the light of the righteous shines from day to day. Hey, You know, these little small things, man, they might be small, but they're very big. You know what I'm saying? You know, character development. Ooh, let me see that. Let's search up that definition, character development, because that's what this is about too. Character development, man. Character development. Okay, this is the word character development in the AI overview. It says character development refers to the process of creating fictional characters that are relatable and dynamic, with details, backstory, motivation, emotional growth. It also involves the changes a character undergoes throughout a story as a result of their actions and experiences. You see, you have to undergo uh 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 Salakia. You have to undergo certain changes, man. You know, that makes you grow. You know, and also like it's going to the, it's a fictional character or whatnot, but we apply in the sense of how that's how our life is too. Of course, we're not fictional, this is real life, but regardless, there has to be a certain development. You gotta grow, you know. And the best stories, the best movies, or the best novels that you read, the best stories that you read, it's about the main character developing, changing, becoming a better version of himself. That's what gets the audience hooked. Yeah, oh damn, look at it, wow. He started from nothing, and now look at him now, man. Look how much he has grown, right? It keeps the audience captivated, because people like seeing process. They like seeing process of person change, becoming a better version. The character gets stronger, they get smarter. You know, their physique might change or whatever. So hey, the same thing for a spirit. Your spirit has to change. It has to grow. You can't be on the same level. You can't keep falling for the same things, the same tricks of that same sense upon you, man. You gotta get acquainted, or I don't know, yeah, I'm using the word acquainted with the saint's trickeries, man. How he comes at you, because Satan knows your vices, he knows your flaws. You know, if he knows your flaws, you gotta know your flaws too, and be like, nah, man, Satan's not gonna get me in this way. Because what? I'm gonna improve in that way. You think you got me? Nah, nigga, you can't get me, because I know now. I know what my flaw is. You know. So let's get Proverbs. Proverbs 4 and uh, verse 18. It says, "But the path of the just is as the shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day." You see, that's the light of the righteous. It shines every day, and the sense of what it's improving. Okay, it's growing. It's not dimming. It's shining. You don't want your light to dim. Okay, when your light starts dimming, it's when your vices start taking you, into that dark hole, man. I didn't know, man. Yo, I didn't know that. I needed to fix that. Oh man, I didn't know, but you did know. Don't you know your own self? Prove your own self, man. You know. And if you're examining yourself, you don't see any flaw, then hey, pray to the Lord for you to show you your flaw, man. Or whatever it is that you need to improve on. Because there's always an aspect in this truth that you can improve on, man. Always. This thing is living waters. It's constantly flowing. There's constantly things to learn. Even the apostles, they always say that, yo, I'm still learning in this thing. And here it is. They've been in this for decades, man. So you can't say, I don't know, I'm done. I can't learn anymore. I've known everything about myself, about the truth, about everything. It doesn't work like that. If anything, if you say something like that, that's a prideful statement. Because, hey, like scriptures say, the knowledge of the Lord is deep, or the depth of the riches, both of the wisdom and the knowledge of the Most High. You know what? Let's close with that, man. In the book of Romans, okay, Romans 11 and verse 33. It says, "Oh, the depth of the riches, both, and the wisdom and the knowledge of the Most High. How unsearchable are His judgments and His ways past finding out." You see, it's deep, man. It can be found out. And here it is, we're tapped into that. So you can't say, oh yeah, I finished learning. No, it doesn't work like that. It's unlimited. Okay? Hey, so with that, man, I'm gonna close it off there. Making all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wakach Chodash. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Until next time, I say shalom.